All right, guys, welcome back. And tonight I've got a much anticipated, or at least on my part it has been anyway, arrival that we're gonna take and crack this box open and see what's inside. And just to give you a little story or a little history of it is, ever since I got into lasers, I've been looking at trying to get me something that I can do clear acrylic and some other things that are beyond the limitations of the diode lasers. Well, I had been all over the K40s, guys. I mean, that seems to be everybody's budget go-to for a CO2. And I had looked at all the different brands and tried to figure out which one I'd like to have. There was a bunch of drawbacks to a lot of them because you had to have the motherboard swapped out in order for it to work with light burn, and it was just a lot of hassle. Well, being relatively new to the diode lasers, I decided to just ride it out and wait around because I felt like light burn is such a requirement for so many people that before too long somebody would, realize that, hey, there's a market to be had and make a light burn ready K40. And lo and behold, I get an email from Monport saying that they are in the process of designing a light burn out of the box compatible K40 version, basically, which is the Monport 40 watt CO2 laser. And it looks a lot like a K40. So they sent me the email and said that it was still in development. It hadn't been released. It wasn't out there, but asked me if I'd be interested in trying it out. And of course I said yes, because I was all over these K40s and the 40 watt CO2s. So they sent me an email. I had to fill it out, go, and basically I got a coupon to get it. So that's been 2 or 3 months ago since that happened. And to be honest with you, I thought, whatever, I got played, it ain't coming. But then I get a notification that it has shipped. And lo and behold, today, guys, it has arrived. So we're fixing to crack this box open, see what's inside. Hopefully, I don't know exactly how much work is going to go into this, but hopefully I can get this thing making some smoke here in the next hour or two. So stick around. All right, guys, by comparison to what I'm used to, this thing is huge, okay? Not as if I didn't already have enough of a space crunch going in this shop. Things just got worse. So I definitely got to figure out what I'm going to do with the portable shack over here and get that thing out of here because it is taking up some well-needed real estate. This guy may even result in a table build to be able to put it somewhere. It needs to go over beside my other enclosure, but that's usually where I do my stove covers. So I got a bit of a dilemma. So I got to figure out how I'm going to handle that. But for today, guys, my goal is to get this thing operational. So let's get into it and see what we got. All right, guys, I managed to get all the plastic out of it, and that was quite a job. I will tell you too, when you're going through these things, be on the lookout for the little pieces of foam, because I found several more pieces of foam stuck in places in here, underneath, and around back under the hood where the tube is. There were some pieces on the outside of the tube. But yeah, this machine is definitely going to bring something new to the Clack Shack as far as wintertime goes, because I am going to have to winterize this thing when the temperature starts to dip, or either I'm going to have to buy it a space heater. I'm not sure which. But either way, we'll get through it. If I have to get an electric blanket and throw over this guy, I guess I will. That's something I actually thought of, was I could actually go get myself a little electric blanket from Walmart and put on top of this guy on those really cold nights. But I'm gonna spin it around and kind of show you what in case you've never seen one of these like myself. I've never got to look at one of these. So all this is new to me, guys. Like I said, I've watched some videos, so I know what I'm looking at. I understand the basic principles of it, and I just never have used one. But it had a lot of foam stuck underneath the tube and over behind the tube at the end of the tube, and so I went ahead and got those little pieces of foam out to make sure that nothing gets anywhere in the way that could be holding heat or anything like that. Because I do know that, unlike diode lasers, the reason this guy is water cooled is because it does generate a lot of heat. A lot of you guys have heard the thing about not running lasers at 100% output. I do know that CO2s are where that originated, for one, because the CO2, the more heat is generated in this tube, this cooling system and this tubing, the job of it is, it's kind of like a radiator in your car. It circulates water through there, and that water is to cool the inner workings of this module, and it runs it back to the bucket. Now, like I said, I don't have a chiller yet, so I'm going to be really, really careful. I did notice that this thing does have a temperature display for the water, so that's going to be handy. I'm going to still have to do some more studying before I start really cranking out stuff with this thing. The display, let me get it turned back around and I'll show you what the display looks like up here. Move the camera over where you can see what all buttons and everything that we have here. Let me just grab this out and move it around. So give me a second, I'm gonna move your camera over here where you can see. All right, so the work bed on this thing, it says it's a 8x12 work bed. That looks pretty close to 8x12. We'll just take their word for it on that for now. So this little compartment here is where all the electronics are housed. Like I said, you got the power supply, and everything kind of hooks into it. Got a little bit of drizzle from a hot glue gun there. And then here's your controller over here on the side, and that is where the USB cable goes in. So everything looks good in there, no stray pieces of styrofoam. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this cover back and put the screw back in it. I just wanted to make sure not to leave any styrofoam or foam in any places that didn't need it. Fast forward a little bit there, and I have actually figured out how to do some basic things with this machine. Now, I've got a lot of learning to do. I wanted to make sure that I got everything connected and it would cut, and so I've been playing around trying to figure out the settings and what to run. So far, everything handles really well. The workspace, of course, is smaller than what I'm used to, but the power output is definitely an improvement from what I'm used to here. All right, guys, I've been spending some quality time with this manual and trying to wrap my mind around how this thing works. Totally different setup than what I'm used to. But I wanted to take a chance. I think I've got most everything set up the way it's supposed to be, but I'm going to show you how this thing does with this 4.5 millimeter plywood. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do a frame because I don't have a camera or anything on this guy yet. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there, and I'm going to run this at 11 millimeters per second at 60% power, one pass, and show you what this guy's doing here. It's pretty amazing at 11 millimeters per second what it's doing. There you go. It's a clean cut. The cutting ability of this thing is definitely going to be more than what I'm used to. And to engrave, I'm going to take that same circle that I just cut, and I'm going to change that over to an engrave. I'm going to run this 150 millimeters per second at 60% output and show you how it does on that. I'm still trying to learn how everything works. I do know that in the book, they recommend operating between 20 and 60%. Let's see where it said that, right over here. It doesn't recommend operating above 70% right there. So it's saying a lifespan of 500 to 1,200 working hours with typical use, and that's assuming that you stay under what they're saying you should. It does have an 8x12 work area, which is 200 millimeters by 300 millimeters. And the max resolution is 2500 DPI. So it's, like I said, I went through the book. I read as much of this thing as I could to make sure I didn't mess anything up. Here's where it says, and I made myself some notes in the book. Here it says that you should set the intensity between 20% and 60% is optimal. Now, this book didn't necessarily cover this particular machine. This machine's a little different because this model is made to operate with light burn. So some of the settings aren't exactly the same, but that's what I'm getting with a 60% power output on that little circle. And the clarity is pretty well. So one thing too that I have been able to do is my nemesis, the white acrylic, guys, I have been able to knock a hole in it finally. So let me go ahead and I haven't got my ventilation system hooked up the way I'm going to. I've got it working temporarily, and I've got my little bucket of water over there going. I had to go buy 4 gallons of distilled water to put in that thing, and I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do this winter. I don't know if I can put antifreeze in this thing or not. I guess we'll have to find out. That or get an electric blanket for it. So here we go. I'm going to run this at 11 millimeters per second at 60% output also. I haven't played with this acrylic as much, but I do know that this guy is laying waste to it compared to what I'm used to. I mean, it's knocking chunks out of this white acrylic. The engraving, I'm still working on the power settings for that, guys. Like I said, I am total noob when it comes to these. I have never had a CO2 machine, nor have I ever used one. Watched a lot of videos trying to figure this out, but I've never used one. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna run one of these little angels that I've got from a Christmas ornament, and I'm just gonna run that guy to cut out and see, and it's got an engrave on there as well. So I'm just gonna see what it does. I suspect the engrave, because this is white acrylic, I don't expect it to be too bright. I did manage earlier to cut myself out a clear acrylic little angel. I haven't got the settings dialed in yet. It was not a pretty situation trying to cut this out, but I did do it. So that's better than I've been getting. But the acrylic, like I said, so far this thing will cut it, and I haven't found any limitations on the colors. It also cuts the clear. I was running way too much heat when I cut this one out. I had to figure out how to dial in the power. And you've got the little amp gauge here that you have to adjust to fine tune the cut from what I can gather. And so I've had to play with that and try to get it adjusted to where it cuts really well, but yet not too much power. So I'm still learning these settings, guys. This is gonna be a steep learning curve for me. But this little control is unique to the one that they made that works with light burn, and I can't find a whole lot of information on it, so I'm going to keep reading. I downloaded the light burn manual from their website. I'm gonna continue to read and try to educate myself on it. But for now, in light burn, I'm staying below 60% output, and I think I've got that adjusted correctly. As you can see, it is cutting the white. I'm getting really fine cuts, even with the white acrylic. I could probably stood to win a little bit. Well, no, it come out clean. But it's getting drop cuts. Now, the engrave on that, not so great because it's white acrylic. It did etch it, but the shape came out great. I got nice smooth edges. It's really glassy right there. I don't know if you can see that. The edges look good. So, and I got an engrave in it, but it's white, but it's white material. So, but anyway, that one and this one, like I said, the wife is going to, she's going to get some free ornaments anyway. So the white is no longer my nemesis when it comes to engraving acrylic. Now, the big question I have is, you see where my diode turned this stuff white. I don't know if this guy will or not. So I'm gonna try this right quick and just see what it'll do when I engrave it. I suspect it's not going to do the white because this machine is a totally different creature. So I'm just going to put it right there on top of where that burn was and see what happens. I'm going to be running 150 millimeters per second. Let me slow that down. Maybe if I slow it down, we'll go 100 millimeters per second at 60% output, see what happens. Frame that up. I'm just gonna let it burn it for a few minutes. I just did a square. I'll let it burn it for a few minutes, just enough that I can see what it's doing. Then I'll go in and stop it. I just wanna see if it's gonna change it to white. I suspect it's probably not, but we're gonna try it out and see. All right, I'm gonna stop that and rehome the machine. So I'm getting more of an engrave and less of a scorch to turn it white. So there's that. But I will show you this. This is kind of neat. Change that over to a cut. Frame that little area where I was just at. It shreds the orange. I haven't found a color so far that it will just destroy. So all these colors, of course, that I was unable to cut with anything else in the shop, I have been able to cut with this guy. And yes, I bought clear acrylic just to use with this machine to try it out. So, all right, so I'm gonna back the power down a little bit this time because I'm thinking maybe I'm going too hot is why I'm getting that sticky edge. So I'm gonna run this 40% power. Well, actually, let me run it 60% power, but let me run it up to 20 millimeters per second with 4 passes. And let me see if that'll do a little better job. And I'm just gonna cut this angel shape out. I'm not gonna do the engrave just yet. I just wanna see if it'll cut it out. We'll let that defume for a second. All right, so it's loose, guys, but it's like it's melted back together. So if you're a whiz with these CO2s, feel free to tell me what I'm doing wrong. But once you let it harden, it snaps right out. But I've got to figure out the power settings for this. I think that's my problem. I think I'm going either too hot, too fast, too slow. I'm just gonna have to play around with it and figure that part out. But as far as all of my other mediums go, guys, this thing is blazing the wood. All right, 13 millimeters per second, 60% output, and I'm running 2 passes. And this is gonna be that same shape with the angel, just out of wood. Just to give you an idea what it looks like when it cuts out these kind of shapes with the wood. It does not have an air assist, so there you go. That was a clean drop on my little angel there. And considering there's no air assist, I don't think that's terrible. It's got a little charring around it, but I'm gonna have to look into the air assist option along with a bunch of other options. So I guess the general consensus that I have about this machine so far is I like it. All right, guys, like I said, just got this thing out of the box, got to playing around with it a little bit. I can cut some stuff with it, I can engrave with it, but I got a long way to go to be able to figure this thing out. So I'm gonna go on inside. I just want to give you all a little bit of taste of what this thing could do, and I'm gonna go inside, do some studying, put this little video together, and hopefully next time I make a video, I can do a little more demonstrating and kind of have something to tell you. Because right now, guys, this thing's a mystery to me. I've got to go do lots of researching. So, but anyway, Monport, this is their new 40 watt CO2. It is light burn compatible out of the box. The light burn setup was actually a breeze. The manual that came with the machine didn't go over the light burn setup because it was, I guess, originally designed for the other one. This is the latest design that they came out with. But I went to their website. There's a PDF downloadable there. And I downloaded the PDF, went through the steps, and it was just as easy as any of the other machines that I've ever added to light burn. So if you're interested, guys, this is what it is. And stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, and keep check. And I'm sure I'll be doing more videos with this guy. Testing it out, trying to see what exactly I can create with it. So thanks for stopping by. Have a good day.